Hello, welcome to my introduction to imaginary realms. As both an architect and an artist, I have always been enticed by the natural world, and especially intrigued by stones and crystals. So over the years, I've had a lot of opportunities to go to gem and mineral shows and to go to stone shops, mineral shops, but you're probably wondering, why am I doing this? And I will tell you that there are so many layers of information of a reference regarding mineralogy, and a good place to start is to think about the age of minerals. I remember the very first time I photographed a particular piece of jasper, and I realized after doing a little bit of study that it's over 100 million years old. And so 100 million, 200 million, it's just large numbers, but it's pretty enlightening. And I have actually one specimen of a composite from Ontario, Canada, that is a combination of jasper and iron. That's 2.7 billion years old, which is over half the age of the planet Earth. So I go to these gem and mineral shows, and I'm basically doing a hunting and gathering where I am looking for particular stones and crystals that will call out to me. And I'm looking for something visual that will have potential for a good photograph. So I feel, and I have seen this over the years, that there's so much diversity in stones and crystals that it's an endless endeavor. There's just no limit to how much I can do with this. So when I find a particular crystal and I purchase it, I will take it home, and then I will set up my studio for a photo shoot. And with the photo shoot, it's important to pick a time when there's no disturbance, nothing to take away from my day-to-day. Now, just as a photographer goes on a hike through the woods and looks at landscape, looks at mountains and lakes, and I do the same thing as I take my photos, I'm doing the same thing within the rock. I'm taking a hike through that stone. Basically, it's a journey, it's an exploration. And I'm looking for patterns, tonal gradations, various color changes, textures, all of those things which are part of the visual language. And so as I'm photographing and doing that sort of process, I let my mind wander. So I let themes including history, mythology, spirituality, all the sciences, including geography, geology, astronomy, all of those are fair game as points of departure. And many times that's when I start to think of a title. But it's all about looking for meaning in these images. And I will often see ancient fantasies or future fantasies. Sometimes an inner dream or a past memory will float through. For example, a particular stone might trigger a memory of a dream I had when I was a child. And that could be pretty enlightening to be able to remember that. Sometimes I will see planetary scapes or cosmic scapes that have the propensity to traverse space, time, and dimension. And this is where I sometimes will start to think of the notion of a multiverse or parallel universes. You can see where I'm going with this, that it's really about the imagination, having fun with it. It could be whimsical, and sometimes it's important to remember not to be serious, but to have fun with it. And so the purpose here is for these images to be expressive, to maybe tell a story, provide a message, maybe evoke a certain emotion. And that's what it does for me, and the hope is that this would also do it for the viewer. A similar offshoot of this body of work that I've been doing for the last few months is called Manifestations of Surreality. And this is a similar type of theme whereby instead of shooting a mineral, I am shooting the built environment, specifically architecture and structure. Being an architect, that comes very natural to me, within the context of the natural environment. But I try to go beyond the direct representation of that image and dwell within the abstract. So what's happening is that I tend to hover between reality and surreality in the way the image is portrayed. So again, there is this inclination to look for meaning, to hopefully give a message, to potentially provide an emotion for the viewer. And that is the goal, that is the intent, that is the purpose, to spark off the imagination of those who are viewing my images. So the journey continues. I thank you, and I want to remind everyone to let your imagination run free.